What's happening, everyone? We are back. You're back. If you didn't catch the show on DCC and Cultivate Crypto, Charlie's channel yesterday, that was a really good stream. I reposted on my channel today as well. Got some good clips from that, and man, that was one that I feel like just we covered a few topics that I don't really talk about in depth that much on the show, but we really got into this good groove and talked about Tetra on the show yesterday as well. If you're interested in Tetra, talked about that on the stream yesterday. Yeah, that was action-packed stream. I really liked that one. So shout out to Charlie from Cultivate Crypto. Great stream. And yeah, I'll be seeing those guys in Vegas pretty soon with everybody else on the PulseChain tour. So that'll be fun. Maybe we'll do a studio session or something. Excited for that. So man, so much cool stuff going on in the ecosystem. 2024, we kicked it off with a bang. Hopefully we're going to end it. I don't know. When I say bang, it sounds like is that a good or bad thing? I don't know. A good bang. They're good bangs, right? So we'll try and do that with no expectations in mind. Let's say hi to the chat real quick before we get into. We got Top Gun here, and he is ready to go. Talk about PulseX and all the good stuff. Kirk, how's it going? How's it going? J Pond, welcome, Baby Groot. I like Baby Groot there. Ready and waiting. Glad we could satisfy your need for content for absolutely $0, -$dollars for me. I may remind you. I'm actually losing money right now. Never felt so good to lose money. It's an investment, right? That's what they call it. That's my coping. I'm coping. It's an investment. My time, energy, blood, sweat, tears is an investment. Yeah, I think it's better that way. It's good. Always Alpha. How's it going? Crypto Truth. Good to see you, man. Roll up, soar. Welcome. Up, MA. Got a Burr Bear sighting. By the way, if anyone doesn't know the keyword Burr Bear, and if he is nearby, I will throw my guy up on the stream. And if you come across a luxury bull of any kind, particularly Burberry, I would love to know. And you never know, I might have to pick one of those up. 'Tis the season, so I've heard. What's up, DJ? How's it going, man? Crypto Compassion, good to see you, man. Oh, I see you in Vegas as well. That's awesome, man. Hopefully, I haven't seen you for a while. Hope to catch up with lots of Hexkins, PulseXkins, Inkites. I don't know if we settled on an ink yet. Inkians, Inkanites. There's some good ones floating around there. Shilling Defoe, how's it going? UFO Nut, welcome. Exponential Games. I got a few people in here. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. Fox Modders in the house. Francia, Red Squirrel, Grogo Beans. You guys are happy in the chat right now. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. We'll get to them as we can. No promises or expectations, though. Lies beneath the truth. All those coins for the win. I do like all those coins. Those are some nice coins. Mr. Monty Fontaine, how's it going? Tyler Status has bangs. Multiple bangs. The good kind of bangs. Jovis, welcome on Twitter, aka X there. Good to see people there. Everyone has expectations. Well, I think it's okay if everyone has expectations as long as they create them on their own and they don't point the finger at anyone for giving them to them, especially if they don't say the words, have that kind of formal written or expected contract, that kind of thing. What moonshot don't see in the chart? Well. Does that mean you're early? That could mean you're early. If we do have a moonshot and it hasn't shown in the chart yet, it could mean you're early if it doesn't happen. Will it happen? No idea. But if it does, you may be early. There you go. Anyways, get to everyone else in a bit. Welcome back to the show. I don't know how many times I've been on here, a few times. Top Gun Hexadian, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on, man. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. Always.
You bring the calculations. You bring the heat from time to time. You were here for PulseChain launch on stream. People don't remember PulseChain.com did launch. It did launch despite what people thought it may or may not happen. And Top Gun was there, and that was SJ and I think Sloth was there. We were all like, should we keep streaming or stop? Like everyone's like, because when it launched, right, you're all like, okay, ratio trading and all that was like the craze back then. Like it's like eventually, I think I said something like, I think we need to go. I think we need to end the stream. But I think people got stuff to do if they're going to make some strategic decisions right now or not. So man, fun times, man.
Oh yeah, like that was perfect timing, beyond perfect, because oh my God, we're amongst the first to realize it's live. We're on stream, so I'm able to hop on and do a couple transactions. The gas hadn't spiked yet. So, I mean, I missed the Pulse sacrifice. So I had the one Pulse token when the gas was still low enough in that first 10 minutes. Like, if I wasn't on stream with you, I would have never known. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm getting in there. And so, like, I managed to get some Pulse, get going, and then get my wallet stuck. And I'm like, what do you mean I can't ever make another transaction here, it seems? I'll just load it on another device. What do you mean it's still stuck? I broke my wallet, started to panic a little. Like, what do I do? Going shooting, and luckily things hadn't gotten so crazy yet. So I talked to one of my friends in How to Pulse. They actually came to my aid. Their little dev community went, oh yeah, no, this is the nunce thing. Like, you go in and you can reset the transaction number to the stuck transaction, and then you can resend the transaction with more gas, or you can just send yourself some layer 1 token set at 0 or 1 and up the gas. Whatever you do, up the gas. And I'm like, okay, awesome. It's not that hard. I got my wallet unstocked. I'm unpanicked. And then I'm seeing the wave on Twitter. And I'm like, oh, God, my 6 years of customer service are about to come in handy. Tech support. And I hopped on Twitter and did back-to-back days and cooked my phone battery doing tech support at launch, waiting for the bridge to open, helping people unstick their wallets. That was wild. I'm glad I recorded the second space.
That sounds like an asset to the community to me. So many people. I mean, Gamma. I remember Gamma. I don't think he does as much validator stuff anymore. He's doing more RPC and infrastructure. But man, I do not envy his job of he's like full time every day. I don't know how often, but it's like tech support on Telegram and otherwise for validators. I'm like, I'm not doing that. You cannot pay me to do it. I don't want it. I do not do consultations. Shout out to everyone who does. Feel free, but man, that is a lot of work. And but I'm glad that people did, whether they get paid to do it or not. I'm so glad we have a community that, again, it's not this zero sum game. It's not this, I need to win, so I need to withhold information. I need to, keep secret stuff. It's, don't tell them all that stuff. To me, it's like, I think it's better. Like, whatever happens, whatever comes out, all this stuff, the people know about it. They're able to make informed decisions. I don't like to treat people like they're stupid. Like, I don't want to not tell them something because they'll go and wreck themselves. It's like, I can tell you about it. I can give you caveats and disclaimers and stuff, and then you can decide. And if you're dumb, you're going to do dumb stuff. Like, that's not up to me to decide. Everyone else who can make better decisions, they're going to benefit. So I err on the side of that as far as that stuff goes. But again, shout out to everyone who is helping people and making sure we win together. I think that's not only possible, it's probable in this community. And man, 2024 has just been one of those years where it just hit you, and you're like, wow, all those times I was either just not understanding the game plan, or waiting, or doubts from time to time, but talk myself into being strong, all that stuff. It feels like it's coming together. I mean, I don't know. Are we back, Top Gun? Are we back? Have you seen enough to say we're back, or what do you feel?
So I think logically we're back. Myself, I mean, I know I've definitely tried to maintain a brave face, because like I've had like stresses at times. Like, I never had doubt that our network would launch. But I mean, there was somewhere between the red Gucci suit that looked like a shot couch from, or Chesterfield from 1960s Britain, and the twerking, where I was like, I don't know if our community is going to survive this. But it never stopped tweeting. It never stopped being passionate. And it's like, it's awesome. But yeah, I've had my rough moments too along the way, for sure. It's been a very, very long wait. But I mean, I'm so traumatized, I think, because like I got here November of 21, so I started buying Hex at like 21 cents. And then like I bought every dip on the way down, perfectly calling those bottoms, thinking, okay, well, this is the one where we're going to start going back up and like really moon. But yeah, being along that whole ride, I'm looking at the market psychology chart cheat sheet for Wall Street, and like, basically, I'm like, I'm not sure if I'm behind, but I'm like, I'm still kind of in the disbelief phase. And I feel like the rest of the rest of the community kind of has that feeling where it's like, okay, we recovered SAC price, but like we got so close, but we still haven't really made an all-time new high because of that early volatility. Like, we still got to crack 0.02 of a cent or something, and then I feel like the hope phase actually begins when, like, it doesn't matter what chart you go look on, this is officially the highest point it's ever been. And it's like, yeah, I think we really get hope kicking off at that point. Like, we had a nice little run of it. But yeah, we're back. I'm just not going to say we're so effing back yet. But like, I mean, it was really good. I've been loving the Bitcoin community too. Like, it's been really good seeing some of their things. Like, yeah, let's go ahead and put this chart on log or whatever, or play it out on time and talk about, yeah, it did its little run up, this and that, doing the TA, and it did its run up and then it ran down, and then it did its run up and then it ran down, and then what do you effing think it's gonna do next? It's going to the moon. And it's like best TA ever quoted for it. And
the passion and the cough, I like it.
Yeah, so I mean, the halvening's right around the corner. This ecosystem, like, my original thesis hasn't changed. Like, Ethereum launched practically empty. BNB launched practically empty, maybe a protocol or two. Like, most networks don't have this large a community. They don't have this many products launching. Like, it's attracting more builders and more interest. And like, we are basically the hottest thing that is the newest thing, while Bitcoin is struggling to make more ROI because Wall Street's already in there too. So like, you know, it's still going to go up and make an all-time new high, but how, like, this diminishing returns each cycle, like, this is the place to be. So yeah, we're back. Like, I can feel the energy going through the social media and through the videos and seeing the uptick. It's like during the bear market, my voice stood out because not a lot of people were talking with their audiences. But now all of a sudden I'm like disappearing into the background, getting less trending when I do my tweets, and my timeline is full of bullish tweets again, or at least optimistic tweets talking about all these wonderful things being built. And I'm like, yeah, nobody cares about sound logic anymore. The price go up bros are here. So like, it's the narrative. Like, yeah, you could sell a narrative, but don't bother bringing too much logic. Like, people are on fast forward. They just want to hear number predictions. So yeah, I think we're back.
Before we get into PulseX, there's an extremely important question from Red Squirrel. Where's Pat? Yeah,
good question, actually.
Have we lost Pat, or is Pat just hanging out?
So the story with Pat is Pat's indoor-outdoor squirrel. During the day, Pat plays squirrel, and I have to let her out every morning, pack her with a lunch, and then she goes hangs out with her squirrel friends. Every evening at sunset, I have to let Pat in, and Pat's normally waiting to get in here, so Pat's running a little late, but she does that sometimes. So she'll probably show up somewhere in the middle of this and go straight for her food bowls. At night, she plays house cat.
I like that. I can see that. I could see a domesticated squirrel could resemble a cat in a lot of different behaviors like that. I like it, man. Let me pull up this tweet because it's something I wanted to talk about with you. And I'll pull it up first. Maybe you can, we talk about it a little bit. And then if you have some numbers or otherwise you want to share that's related or otherwise, we can put that up as well. But shout out to our friend Somi, baby dolls. Just in, PulseX is ticked up 3.35% of the total non-OA supply. This, a few days ago or so, but it buys roughly 2 billion PulseX every 1 to 2 days. If we continue at this pace, we get a 4x. That's that free 4x he was talking about, the PulseX price in 1.5 years without any outside buy pressure. Owning PulseX like owning a casino. What do you think about? Is this something that, I know you've done a lot of different data analysis and stuff too. Is this in the ballpark of what you've been thinking and looking at as well, or what do you think about the potentially free 4x if we just, we don't need any outside buy pressure if the volume and stuff continues?
So this is the same way that I do my math. Like, the more variables you strip out, the easier it is to understand. And in its basic, simplest form, yes, this is correct. But what I'd like to do is actually dive into it for a couple of minutes, get all nerd and do a math lesson. If we want to do a screen share here.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'll put it up as soon as you share it, man.
All right, so I believe I need to go to here and then let me see, what options do we have in present here? Slides, video file, no, share screen. So you might get my whole screen for a moment here.
Yeah, share the tab, share the screen, whichever you like.
Oh, yes, perfect. We can go to Windows. Perfect. All right. Should have an Excel sheet right up in front of us.
Boom.
Boom. Perfect. All right. So let's do this way. Tokens. Value. And then K number, or our constant. And then price. So basically, when you've got this liquidity, we talk about PulseX, we talk about how those V2 pools work, and not a lot of people can conceptualize it, really understand it. So why don't we go through the math right here? So to make this a little simple at first, we're going to put in the number 1,000 for tokens. And then value, what we're going to use to represent value on this side is we're going to assume these are stable coins. So token X and USDC. All right. So now what that does, as soon as you create this pair, is it multiplies one side by the other. So 1 million becomes our K number. Let's use commas so this is a little kinder and easier for people to see. Nice and boring for everyone. And now when it comes down to price, the price will basically equal the number of value, or USDC in this case, divided by our tokens. So in this case, $1, since the pools are balanced so nicely. Now, I always talk about, so what we'll do is we'll copy this now. We'll see. Control V. All right. So now what we're going to do here, our K number has to stay the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this number, instead of just saying 1,000, we're going to change things around here a little bit. This is going to equal this K number above, so it doesn't change. The token number now is going to equal this number divided by this number, which is still 1,000. So all the numbers are still the same. But now let's assume somebody comes by and they want to buy token X because it looks nice and juicy, and they're using the V2 math. This is where slippage comes in, and this is how it works. So they decide, hey, I've got $1,000. It's $1 a coin. That sounds like I can get $1 a coin. I'm going to dump it in there. That means now we have $2,000 over on the USDC side. Automatically, you only got 500 tokens out. So you paid $2 a token. That's slippage. But now price action, because of the pool, you can see the price has jumped to $4. That's a 4x because we doubled one side, which halves the other. And that is at that premise of the math. Now, this works great as long as K actually stays constant. But the thing that's happening is, rather than just buying and selling, people are coming along and going, well, you know what? I'm going to add $100 and $100. And they change the K number because now this would be equaling 1,100 times 1,100. And so we have a completely different K number. So as people add and remove liquidity while they're making the market, they can change this on us. So this is where I watched the PulseX liquidity, which was 2.2 trillion, 0. That's the billions. That's the millions. That's the thousands. There. That many tokens paired with Pulse. So now the buy and burn was gobbling them up, but this number wasn't changing much because people were constantly selling into it. Then suddenly I smelt the price shift coming because this liquidity number, because people started pulling liquidity out, suddenly was basically about half as big. So we'll just divide that by 2. So there's that other ungodly number people still can't read. Let's enlarge this, change it to, nope, still has to be bigger. There, see, lovely, obnoxiously large number. So that is 2.2 trillion or 1.1 trillion. So when we got down to 1.1, the buy and burn was going crazy. I watched that number go down. We got all the way to 800, but then it went back up while price was going up because people were adding liquidity. So if they add and remove liquidity on us, the more liquidity you have, the harder it is to move price. Because in order to cause a 4x, like if this liquidity pool was instead of 1,000, it was 1 million and 1 million, to double it, you need 1 million instead of 1,000 to double it. So basically, it gets really complicated in the variables, but staying as simple as we're at the 1.1 trillion-ish area right now. And yeah, very easily, if you can half the number of tokens that are in that liquidity and no one's adding liquidity by providing, no one's removing it, and the market stopped buying and selling, yes, the buy and burn, theoretically, because I think the volume is increasing on the network, which will compensate for as price goes up to keep it kind of constant for the burn rate, at least for a while longer. We could easily see one of these 4Xs happen in the price because half the token supply could be bought out and destroyed. But as the buy and burn's working, more people could continue to provide liquidity. That will slow down the 4X process. And then the market obviously will be buying and selling because as I did a math update on my crystal ball to try and explain my buy and burn that runs basically liquidity pool after liquidity pool in series to see what the action does with a bunch of different variables. Oh, there's Pat. With a bunch of different variables. We looked at it and I showed how basically in my crystal ball, I think when I was looking at it with its last reasonable settings, a 24x in the next 2 years with my math, adding extra little fancy variables that probably aren't right, but getting a little more speculative. I think within basically we're done about, I think within the next 2 years, the buy and burn could build in a lot more than a 4x if the volume continues to spike on the network, which as we head into the bull run and we get our bubble during price discovery and then the collapse, volume will be going nuts. But eventually volume will slow down, but I think we are going to see a lot more than a 4x out of it, speculation-wise. But hopefully that helps. I probably went way too boring and in-depth with this, but nice, simple math. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment. Do you have any questions on anything I've gone through here?
We like simple math. I'm just looking in the chat here too. I think the only question I would have is what would change based on volume? What would change? Maybe it's good to talk about the assumptions and stuff here. I know you're trying to keep it simple too, but are there things that would make things better and price go up more and stuff like that, or things that would risk it or make it not as attractive, or go less than average volume, stuff like that?
So basically the factors in this is we're looking at the volume of buy power that this whale has. The automatic buy and burn drunken sailor. And as our drunken sailor buys every day at tops and bottoms, the more volume in there, the more money in his pockets to buy with. So obviously that increases the burn potential. But now as you push price up, well, you need more money to burn it. So that's where I'm going to, so far, I think the market's keeping it kind of priced with the volume increases because the volume spiked from averaging 10 million a day to closer to 50 all of a sudden. And then price also 5x'd, but the buy and burn didn't accomplish that 5x. But by 5xing the price, Well, you now have 5 times the money, but the thing's 5 times as expensive, and oh well, the burn rate is now kept the same. So it's interesting how the market for so far for these pumps has decided to price it to keep that burn rate the same so far, instead of getting ahead of the buy and burn, as it's now sitting, I think, on 3 whales, 4 sharks, and 8 dolphins. I'd have to go double check. So obviously, the more volume we see in PulseX, the more people want to use it, the more it's getting even through routing or even aggregating, because all the other dexes bring even more activity. Volume go up. Volume go up, buy pressure go up. That's amazing. So those are 2 main factors we look at, is price and the amount of money available because of the amount of volume. Those are basically our 2 big variables. And then right behind that is what kind of liquidity are people providing. So as it got ready for price to move up, over $1 trillion got removed from liquidity providers, not by the buy and burn, not by the market buying, but by market makers going, you know what, I don't want to give away these tokens for this price because I think they're about to move. And so off the market they came, but then another 200 or 300 billion came back on the market after all the buying, because it was sitting at about 1.1 trillion, and then the price shot up. And then a bunch more tokens came back on, kind of stabilizing it. So as we see reduced liquidity, means easier to upside or downside, depending on how the market's feeling. And those are the variables we have to look at to keep an eye on, is basically, where's the market mentality for providing liquidity? The thicker it gets, the more the market makers are telling us that they're expecting crab market. They think price is going to go sideways for a while. As soon as it starts decreasing, that's them saying, you know, we're pretty sure we don't want to give away our tokens at this price anymore, because as long as it's going sideways, we're making gravy. When price goes up, we get hit with impermanent loss. So it's kind of interesting to watch them go, because their sentiment is not always right, but it's a nice little tell sign of what might be about to happen in the market. So paying attention to the size of liquidity that's available for the token, the amount of volume, and the price. That is what all goes into that buy and burn rate.
Yeah, what do you think to this comment I got earlier? I named the stream PulseX Moonshot. Where are we exactly in the cycle of where you believe PulseX can go? Where are we now?
Right at the beginning, because I mean, to the idea of price speculation, like, everybody in crypto hates rugs. And so just the buy and burn was never meant to be the price sustaining object. It was just tantalizing in the fact that you've got a guaranteed buyer, and the fact that you've got revenue from the protocol going into the liquidity. So it really isn't a Ponzi. You can't say it's a Ponzi because you're not counting on the next investor to push price up. I mean, it's still going to happen that way, and we're still going to get bubbles. So the market is exponentially more important than the buy and burn. Now, as far as the market sentiment, what dumps hardest pumps hardest. It's got less liquidity than Pulse in general, and I mean, as far as that goes, like, I'd have to share a different screen and hop over to TradingView, but I go over to the Ethereum chart and I just kind of drool looking at the shape of the Ethereum chart and looking at the original shape of the Hex chart and thinking, yeah, like, this is so undervalued. We're about to probably see, and now I don't want to be the price guy, but I'm looking at this stuff going, it's still conservative to just say, I'm pretty sure we got a 10x in the bag for Pulse probably in the next few months before we even get a bunch of sideways action around the halvening action. And I mean, if we've got that 10x coming to us that soon, well, we've already seen that, because there's less liquidity in PulseX and there's that pesky little buy and burn, and the sentiment has changed. It dumped hardest. It's easiest to pump. It's out pumping Pulse. So if we get a 10x in Pulse, we're easily going to be getting a 20 to 40x in PulseX. when it pauses and corrects it again, you'll see the volatility heavier in PulseX. But like that's the same little miracle with Ink, that although it's a heavy little dump token, there is the price bonding. So when one goes up, they all go up. And then when they start going up and those get their individual buy pressure on top, we see a cascading effect that they outpace the layer 1 token. So feeling that, yeah, PulseChain, I'm feeling that before the end of the year, we should see a 10x, and I'm curious to see what we see before New Year's Eve, whether we get all the way to testing and teasing at that 1 cent level, like just below it or something. Like, and if we're sitting there, yeah, I believe we're going to be seeing a lot more action in PulseX. And even though like it's still just a meme token, it's a dump token, Ink, and at any point the liquidity providers could dump. Well, they've been dumping. And then the PulseXers have been dumping, and the pulsers have been dumping. The weak lettuce hands have been getting out. I mean, that's where my frustration goes, where, hey, Top Gun, people are asking, you think Richard Hart's going to use the SAC funds to pump the price? No, if that's what you're waiting for, sell, get lost, and basically do that on your channel. And the very next day, Richard's like, yep, our lawyers are fighting, and guess what I'm going to do with the SAC funds? And I'm like, Richard, you messed with me again. But our dumpers are gone is the point. Our liquidity providers that have shown that they're more interested in the next cycle or the top of this cycle or their long-term thinking. Like a lot of the soy boys are gone, and it's like, yeah, after the bull run, Ink is going to dump so hard it's not going to be funny. But before the end of the bull, it could end up being the one that does the most X's out of the Richard Hart ecosystem, which could be just so shameful. But I don't know at this point. Like, I like math. I like being able to count on a thing that I'm not chasing a hype bubble, a speculation bubble the same way, where even when the speculation ends, this thing has a PE ratio, a price to earnings ratio, like Wall Street. All right. It still has value, even in a bear market. I love PulseX for that. That's something where I can get my head around, where I don't have to chase meme tokens. Now, yeah, I provide liquidity and I'm harvesting Ink, but that's a whole different matter.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into Ink and leverage and stuff in a few. That's gonna be really fun one to talk about, because that tweet from RH really I don't think people are reading enough into it. One of those things. But before we get there, I wanted to also talk about PulseChain Validator. Shout out to PLS Validator. Has a lot of interesting tweets. So PLS has a supply of 16 trillion coins versus 20 trillion for PulseX. PulseX is deflationary. It's burnt 700 million coins in 9 months. PulseChain can also be deflationary. It may take some time for PulseX to drop below the PLS total supply. It's getting priced in now. PLS more scarce today. What do you think about the scarcity and the tokenomics between the two of PulseChain and PulseX, and like long term? And that was a big discussion before anything ever launched. Was which one's going to do the most X's first? Which one's going to have better short term versus better long term? I know a lot of the commentary was around PulseX in the long term, but just because of the buy and burn and stuff. But how do you look at those two?
So this is interesting, because I mean, as far as I understand it from those early concepts, when we're talking about Pulse V2B, testnet, and it was based on the BNB validator set, Pulse and PulseX were deflationary at that point. The burn rate was supposed to be pretty much set, so our supply was just going to go down. Now, an interesting little thing that, like, and I mean, my voice isn't loud enough and no one cares because its price go up. So I can FUD my bags a little bit by talking logically, because it's not really FUD. But Richard wanted to make a layer 1 that was usable, because Ethereum isn't, because of the gas fees. And it is very usable. We're doing like 100 tokens at a time for some gas, or some insane things, 1,000 tokens. And yeah, they're fractions of a cent. So we're talking about 4-cent transactions. So we're kicking Ethereum out of the water. Everybody's drooling over these X's. But if PulseChain, say, gets its 10,000x from SAC price, so a 30,000x from bottom, and we get to $1, and the gas rate doesn't get taken down. I think it can be adjusted, obviously, but if it didn't get taken down, now all of a sudden we're talking about hundreds and $1,000 transactions, just like ETH. So I think these gas calculations are scalable, but basically it's not hugely advantageous to have Pulse be the thing that does the 10,000 X's on the chain. Having it only do 100X or 1,000X and being maintainable for gas is almost more optimal, so the other projects on the chain like Hex and PulseX can thrive, so builders still want to build because the gas is still manageable and beating Ethereum. So now you've got a network based on Ethereum where it is inflationary and deflationary. So at its resting state, it'll inflate because it's being picked at here and there with transactions with burn a little. But now, if you get a community like the Zen community or whoever else that, or an NFT mint, when we see our gas prices spike, when we see those spikes in gas, that's when the network for a moment is thinking about becoming deflationary. And this is where we're nowhere near the top of the bull yet, or the volume when people are dropping out. So, I mean, we have, I think it was 750,000 or 750,000 wallets on PulseChain, 375, like half of them. So 750,000, and half of that active almost every day trading on it. So, I mean, what happens when we have 3 million wallets on it? It won't always, like, the volume, you can look at Ethereum, like it goes up, it comes down with the cycles of the market. But when we start hitting peak volume, we'll become deflationary. But I mean, overall, I think it's almost optimal for it to be inflationary, because Richard Hart had good points too about Bitcoin having its best price action when it was most inflationary. Because like once we ramp up in users, so say we have 30 million wallets for PulseChain and we're in the middle of the bear, but 5 million of them are still active at any given time. So as opposed to half, we're still talking like 17% or something. But that kind of volume, like, wow, like later on in Pulse's life, it may turn around and become deflationary. Like this is where we might see PulseX actually kill like 2 trillion supply heading into this and drop down to 19, while we see Pulse coming all the way up to like 17 trillion. But then it could turn right back around and start outpacing PulseX for its burn. And this all depends on network usage. So it's inflationary while it's under a certain threshold, and I don't know what that number is. There are some better experts on this math. Like I think Gold Key likes to spend the time going deep into the math and the programming. So I mean, he might have a better idea what the threshold number is for how many active wallets, what kind of gas we need to see. But basically, I'm happy with it being inflationary. Price should still go up pretty heavily with it being inflationary. Gives a lot of people chances to get in before all of a sudden the heavy use on it starts slowing it down and we start running into the Ethereum problems. So overall, I think, yeah, I'm rambling a lot.
No, go for it, man. I just, I'm kind of getting some time to look at some of the comments and look at some of the pieces that can tie into this too, such as, I kind of overlooked this one earlier, but the buy and burn, Power City, 3 trillion. So have you looked at, have you looked at Power City or factored that in any of the models of, what if 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 3 trillion PulseX get locked in protocols and on the borrowing side? Does that help Top Gun? Is that a good thing?
So this is where, yeah, this is a good thing. This is where we look at sentiment and reasons. So basically, like, why are people going to hold a token? And you stake it to earn more token or whatever, or you're anticipating value to go up. But I mean, like, even going against the buy and burn, everybody at some point is just figuring out their future sale price. Like, what is going to make them cripple and exit? Is it going to be $1 million, a billion, $1 trillion? Like, what point do they cave and sell? And so, I mean, no matter what, like, doing these models with no market or sell pressure, buy or sell pressure, it's like, no, people are always going to sell into that because at some point, sooner or later, someone wants to take profits. So you've got to have the market pressure and the buy and burn fight all that profit taking. But now you offer a system where, well, the rich don't play that game. Like, you don't stay rich by looking like Elon Musk isn't going, come on, 300 for Tesla. I need to dump some shares for baby mama money. Baby mama money. No. I mean, yeah, he's like, please let it go to 300. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to leverage my Tesla shares at a nice, healthy collateralization of 50%. So even if price crashes half, I'm safe. Then I'm going to take those billions of dollars and I'm going to go over to the options market and go to the 0-day TDEs or the 1-week expirations. And I'm going to open quick call options on my Tesla stock, theoretically, not saying he does this. And then he's going to cause the market maker to have to cover those calls by buying some shares, which pushes price up. And, you know, they play games where they don't sell their stuff. They take leveraged loans. So, wow, you want to exit the market. You can take a loan, which in a lot of places, not financial advice, is tax-free. And you can take a loan against it, maybe not at its full value. But if it doesn't, crash out and the price goes way up, you can extend that loan to a greater value. Like that gives you this whole area where the whole reason we look at excitement with the buy and burn is, unlike every other whale who's buying to dump in the future, the buy and burn's buying to never dump in the future. And now all of a sudden, you see every single person that engages with that protocol from Power City, like, we've already seen about 10% of the supply of Pulse get locked up in liquid loans, which is amazing. I think they put about 1.6 trillion in. Like, they're almost locking up what the validators are doing. So 20% of the circulating supply of Pulse is locked up between liquid loans and validating, roughly. And hey, PulseX, all of a sudden you see, well, the buy and burn has eaten 4%, 5%, and then you look over at PulseX and you see, oh, that's eaten up 10%, and you realize that's never going to hit the market, and you have to rethink what the circulating supply is, because it is a whole different model, and that gives it inherently more value because you're anticipating less dumpers on your head. And if you can teach everybody using the model to use sustainable practices, including providing liquidity on V3 style things, like I really want to see Richard finally release a V3 port fork for PulseX. At least in the meantime, we have 9mm Pro. But I mean, limit orders are great. Set it and forget it. That way you don't have to watch market charts and screens, and I can't wait till PulseX gets it. But, you have to be careful of the tax implications, again, for wherever you live. But opening up a single-sided pair on V3, here's the massive alpha that no one ever really tells you about. Like, you're always worried about impermanent loss when you bake that V2 liquidity I showed you, because as you're earning fees, they get added to that liquidity pool, which also changes the K number, actually. Funny enough. Because the liquidity pool is technically always getting bigger. So if there's a sudden price move, you lose all of that. But now you open a V3 side liquidity, you don't need both sides of the pair. You can open just one side of the pair, above the price or below the price, to buy in or to exit. And then you set it as a range. And as price moves through that range, you're earning fees. So you set a wide range limit order to exit at a price higher than it currently is, then you don't wick the price down. And as price of PulseX goes up, you get paid to exit. And that's if you didn't want to just lock it up and not worry about taxes. Again, not financial advice, depends on your area, call an accountant. But you could go take a loan over at, not liquid loans, but Power City against your assets. So, I mean, as people wise up, there's going to be all sorts of opportunities, but no matter what, there's going to be rocket YOLO boys that are in there that are not paying attention to any of this, that are going to sell it down. So, no matter how positive any of this sounds, don't get the euphoria. It's not safe, Moon. This thing will have corrections, hefty market corrections as we do price discovery, but the buy and burn ensures there's more risk to the upside. The same way as a $1 billion sacrifice wallet showing up all of a sudden changed risk to the upside for Pulse.
Oh, did that happen? Did the benevolent whale or the world's largest die holder show up and start buying some stuff?
Well, not like, I mean, that was the whole thing right after I'm like, Richard won't do that. And then, yeah, like the next day he sends the letter from his lawyers pretty much telling Gary he's coming for him. And then some funds start moving. And that's where the God Whale hopped in too. He's back on Twitter and said hello to a few people. And his wallet has been interacting with certain protocols like even Mintra, that's been, oh, you know, nobody's going to like it because, well, they're changing their custodials for sales. Okay, but still, they screwed up. Well, they got a God Whale, just like the rest of the Pulse ecosystem, so price pumped hard. God Whale got into a few projects, and so, yeah, we've got a bit of a SAC wallet, which apparently will use its funds if needed, if the price gets too low and it's offended by the market not appreciating the value, it may scoop some up. And we've got a God Whale back in the system and participating. So I think the full bull energy is here. I just basically, I guess, it's been such a long bear market. My hope phase starts still when we hit 0.02 for Pulse.
Dude, it's gonna be wild. We've got. Yeah. I was trying to find. Yeah, this one finally. When you were talking about, you know, people selling it, and I've been avoiding soy sauce, man. I don't even want anything to do with soy at this cycle right now. If it's got soy in the name, I try to avoid it. Our friend Somi and Greg the Duck probably did more to popularize that than anything else in the world. But I had a conversation with Just Ask Jesse the other day, and yeah, this was where he talks about, you know, basically, you know, somebody sold on a double or a double, and then the person who holds and gets all that appreciation, instead of getting, you know, $2 million, they get like $20 million, that type of thing. Yeah. So the power of holding, the power of not selling on a double, the power of not selling too early is very underrated and very interesting. So anyone interested in the video, I'll post it on Twitter. I think it's coming out on the channel soon as well. But that is something that's eye-opening. And boy, I don't know. It's selling on a double. You know, we have that phrase from Richard, you know, the famous thing, you could sell on double, sell on double. So many different times with Hex. I wonder how many people are going to sell we saw how many people sold at at SAC price. They just want to get the refund basically for PulseChain. They haven't been able to get the refund yet for PulseX. We hope that soon, if they're interested in that. But it's like, how many people you think when and if PulseX hits SAC price are just going to be like, I'm out, going to go buy Solana. Neat, you know, I didn't want to wait that long. You know, there's still hurt feelings over the lack of expectations and stuff like that. You think we got some more weekends to exit at refund price for PulseX?
Well, that's where price speculation, like my TA, as I'm looking at the charts and everything, kind of says we should, on the next pump, I'm expecting like the next pump, we're going to crack out and fail for Pulse just below 0.03 and probably come back to test 0.02, do the crab market thing to repeat what we've just done, coming from 0.005 to jump to 0.15 and then back down to 0.10 or 0.01. God, that math is so obnoxious. I can't wait till it's cents and dollars. But anyway, I have a funny feeling it's going to pump up and we're going to see the ratio range close, because like the ratio got almost as bad as 4 PulseX for a Pulse there for a while, but it was sitting around 3 for a Pulse, but it almost got to 2 for a Pulse, like closing that value gap. And I think that the next pump up, we're going to see it. So PulseX will hit the SAC price or just above SAC price, as Pulse is almost getting to 0.03. And I think as we see that, we're going to see a soy boy profit taking rage through it, and that's what'll probably pull our Pulse from getting to 0.03. I think for sure we're going to see that, but it's going to be so volume heavy that I don't think the SAC wallet's going to have to get involved, because I think while that goes on, the buy and burn is gonna laugh, and we're gonna all go, wait, did that just jump like 100 billion in a week? Like, we're all gonna go, oh, that's one of those moments. The soy boys got eaten by our drunken Michael Saylor bot. Yeah.
Does your community have a drunken microsettler bot? I don't think so.
Ours does.
Ours does. Yeah, we gotta put some pirate on that. Man, let's get into this one too, because let me put it in the chat because you can see it. Richard made a very interesting tweet a couple weeks ago on basically, you can just read all this stuff of that part. But the most interesting thing here is he's talking about ink, and he says the chart kind of looks like leverage on Pulse and PulseX. And I was thinking about that today, just leverage in general. They talk about, ICOSA could be leverage for Hex and different coins and stuff like that. Leverage, it's funny. It's one of those things where it's even in the traditional sense, when things are going good, the ideal is that could go even further than whatever it's being leveraged on. And then when things are going bad, it can go down much further than the thing is being leveraged on. So Richard actually saying, people say, oh yeah, Ink's the meme. Ink is Richard Hart's meme token. Or just Ink is a meme token at this point. There's no use other than being able to sell it or trade it or whatever. You earn it. There's all these theories. Some people like it. Monetizing risk. I think it's really important to the health and liquidity of the ecosystem. And get people to yield farm and get people to put, lock up funds and earn stuff like that. Some people just think, hey, this thing just needs a purpose. I don't care if it's RH coin technically. It's why wouldn't it go? Why would it go up or why wouldn't it go down? If only thing you could do is get it and sell it, that type of thing. But when he said the chart kind of looks like leverage on Pulse and PulseX, I don't think that was accidental. I think that he's perhaps pointing something out of, guys, this, you can call it a dump forever token, but if it's leverage on the two biggest blue chips that are in their ecosystem, how does it not go up? Like I've yet to hear a rational argument that doesn't tell me why it wouldn't go up with them. Just forget the liquidity bonding stuff. Just that alone, if the big man himself is calling this out, and then just its importance in the ecosystem in general for the liquidity situation. So yeah, what do you think about Ink and this whole leverage thing that RH was talking about here?
Well, so first up, the term leverage gets thrown around. So I think a little distinction on leverage should be put, because the price is functioning like a leverage trade. So the triple Qs is a leveraged index in Wall Street. So when something moves, the triple Qs will move 3 times as much. So if you get a 5% increase, the triple Qs is going to give you a 15% increase. So it's a way of betting heavier. But now actual leverage, this goes back to liquid loans and even Power City, what they're allowing us to do for Pulse. A whole nother play that people get interested in, or for PulseX, is, well, I can take a loan against my PulseX I can do it risky and say 80% of the value, 90% of the value, because I think it is going up and I'm so sure of it, I'm not worried about hedging my bets for going down. Now that I've taken this loan, what do I do with it? I buy more PulseX. That's a 1x leverage. Now you're holding more asset. You took a loan against it and you're holding another asset, like the same asset. So when it moves up, you sell a little bit to pay off your loan and you've got way more than you could have in the first place. Now, really crazy people will go, well, man, why don't I take this PulseX I just bought with leverage and take a loan against it and go buy some more? And then that's double X leverage, triple X leverage. So when the price moves up, you're getting way more action, but you're very heavily exposed. It gets kind of complicated. Now, this is where the triple Qs, you don't actually have to use anything as collateral in Wall Street to play the triple Qs. They're what you call a leveraged index because it's built to function with a greater way. And this is where, interesting, our blue chips our blue chip being Pulse, basically PulseX is a leveraged index on Pulse. So this is where I talked about it pumping harder and dumping harder. So when you get 10% up in Pulse, you're usually seeing a 20% up in PulseX. Same for when you see it down. And that's where the risk is, because you see a 10% down, you're seeing a 20% down in PulseX. That's a double leverage. But then you go over and you look at Ink, and you go, wait, that's like a triple leverage or quadruple leverage. Like we're seeing giant moves, like 10% in Pulse, and you're seeing 40% or 30% over in Ink. So it is more risky because market goes up, market goes down. And the leverage just means it has more potential to move up and more potential to move down. So in that way, yeah, if you are feeling all risky and bullish on the ecosystem, you could move into Ink and play it like the triple Q play from Wall Street to get even more of the upside potential that the chain's about to do. And pointing that out is very interesting because, I mean, he already put out a tweet inviting haters to come wreck themselves on leverage trading platforms so they can short the asset. and he did that tweet separately and actually gave a little boost to some community members. I think the Fiat Fucks fame crew. Mm-hmm. And then here he's pointing out basically the Wall Street utility of Ink, where it has reason to have volume just because it moves heavier, because it's speculation, because its liquidity is so small, its order books are so small, demand hits it and supply hits it exponentially harder. So it trades as a leverage play. So an chain full of speculation and yeehaw, it's fun for everyone. For the hardcore hexagons that are like, you have to have a staking ladder, you can never leverage trade, you cannot do all this stuff because it will get you wrecked. Everyone's having fun right now while price is moving up. Everyone feels like a pro. But when there's a heavy market correction, a ton of people that are rolling in the dough are gonna go, well, man, I'm up 1,000x, like I got 100 million pulse. I started with 1 million, and then they're gonna go, how do I only have 10,000 pulse left? What happened? And it's gonna be like, yeah, it's fun for now, but it's pennies in front of freight chains. And that's where it's so addictive, because it's like, yeah, whatever, man. I've got like 500% gains. What do you have? 200%? You don't know anything. Okay, just wait till the correction. All bear market, I was down 30% or break even. That was me all bear market. Yes, I got punched in the face with Hex, but I diversified and I bought the bottoms every time, and I did my market analysis. I timed the market, whole bunch of things. Like, it does matter a little bit, but the responsible edicts that were taught by hexagons are for a reason. People don't care that I'm saying this right now anyway. I still feel like I have to, but it's just in one ear, out the other right now. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go leverage trade on some Ink. It's triple Q's. Top Gun said so.
I wonder if Fame. So Fame does support Hex, Pulse, PulseX, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. I wonder if they will add Ink at some point. That would be interesting if you could actually short or long Ink.
I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility, but I think they're probably waiting for more liquidity to be available for it. I'm not sure. We'd have to bug those boys.
Yeah, I'll check liquidity. I'll pull it up in a sec. To Yavine, do you guys think Ink will be used for the wallet causing positive? Yeah, so that's another speculation too. Is Richard? He hasn't stopped talking about the wallet. I mean, we didn't hear much for a while. He talked about it, and then did he say in the Christmas video, or he tweeted it somewhere? He mentioned the wallet again. He mentioned the PulseChain wallet or whatever he was talking about before, and a lot of people speculate to give Ink a use case outside of just earning it natively in the ecosystem within the RH products at least could be somehow used for the wallet in some way, either sacrificed for it, or it's some sort of gas token. I mean, your imagination could go wild with that one. But do you think there'll be something? Do you think the community? Because I think I'm pretty sure plenty of the community people and products and stuff will be building or supporting it in one way or another. But do you think RH himself will come out with something to give it more utility?
So I love the speculation game, but I'm going to crap on it because RH blankly said more than once, with almost a tone of frustration, that you need duct tape to token on. It did all right. Like, guys, literally, Ink is the least on my priority list. I don't care. It's a dump token. I think he used those words. Like, he pretty much crapped on it over and over. So it already built in has a function where it's runs like Bitcoin. It has a halvening, which I think is every year. It's going to get more scarce. Bitcoin doesn't have a utility. It doesn't need a utility. I've heard rumors there might even be a DAO built into it. I haven't gone into the code to double check, but there might be a DAO built into it. So yeah, there might be future use case. But when you have a chain that needs a proper block explorer, limit orders for the DEX, single-sided staking for the DEX, DAOs for the DEX, when you have possibly V3 to fork to keep the chain running, coming up with Ponzinomics for your dump token, which you intended to be like Uni's slap-on dump token, except better, which done, because Uni's token doesn't have that inflation thing. So it's already improved. Why would it be the top of his priorities when there's so much else to work on? And everybody, the last thing I think he said about the wallet was that it wasn't a priority. Because I mean, find that tweet where he is excited or talking about wanting to build it. Like the last I saw was when we still had V2B. He's like, I have one dev on it. That's all the rest of my devs are on PulseChain. I don't care. And then Internet Money Wallet gets ignored constantly for making a great bloody product that is now open source, supported Pulse the entire time, PulseX, all sorts of ecosystem tokens, is completely secure, uses a 24 seed word base, and it's also on the PulseX website. If you go to app.pulsex.com, and at least it was there, that Internet Money Wallet was like an option somewhere on their link page. Like more than once, Richard Hart has pretty much looked and gone, yeah, there's what's at the bottom there? Community sites, Go Pulse, PETA's, Dex Toys. Okay, it was down there. I guess it's been moved or removed. Because now
is that Internet Money? Maybe that was that on GoHex.com?
No, it was on the Richard Hart website on PulseX for a short while. We've got screenshots.
Yeah, no, I remember.
I'm part of that community, so it was exciting getting some recognition. But basically, you've got a bunch of wallets launching on the chain, which is exactly what he wanted to see. Because the only reason he was going to build a wallet was because MetaMask geo-blocked Russia and Ukraine at the beginning of the conflict. And that is not decentralized networking crypto for the people. So he needed a solution. Now, he's busy with an entire blockchain, with a DEX, with trying to get central exchanges or even buying a central exchange to get proper listings, like the things he's talked about that are up on his priority list. I mean, maybe he'll get to a wallet if the DEX is finished and PulseChain is finished and Sexes have actually listed it. But in the meantime, you know, there are 2 or 3 wallet solutions around PulseChain that have launched that are different levels of decentralized that are not going to do any geo blocking in the future. So, I mean, everyone gets so excited about, please let Richard Hart build another project. No, like, make the ones we have finished and great. And then maybe if there's a need, you move on to where the market has a need. That's where you make the best money, not by flooding the market with what there's already plenty supply of. So that's my thoughts on all of that. Ink is basically, it happens for the inflation. So it's not deflationary, but it will get dulled out less and less. So it'll get harder to get, which seems to be good for Bitcoin price, which I don't think the Uni token does. And there might actually be voting powers with that token. And then if other people want to come along and say, build a staking protocol for whatever reason, they're going to give out tokens and ink holders get to stake. Like 9mm turned around and, or not 9mm, 9-inch turned around and went, hey, you can stake your 9-inch tokens. You can also stake your PulseX tokens here. Like, you can go get single-sided staking with your PulseX tokens, just not on the PulseX DEX, because somebody gave more use case and utility. A lot of people don't realize that. You can stake your PulseX and get some of their BBC. I just don't want to say it out loud on your YouTube channel, what that stands for. But it's their meme coin.
It's Big Black Chair. It's Richard's Big Black Chair.
Yes, Big Black Chair. So you can go get that meme coin if you want it by staking your PulseX. I haven't, but I know it's possible. I was basically waiting to see if there's any issues with the DEX, because everything you interact with, will it get hacked, all this. Like, I mean, I'm not jumping my wallet into every situation, but right there is the use case that if you're building a useful protocol and you like Ink Token, well, you can involve Ink Token in your staking policies and you can give it a use case. So those questions are value, but right now, just as being the triple Q leverage index token, um, that's pretty good use case enough for Ink, considering, like, you got to remember the people that have locked their value up in Liquidity and were watching it disappear to impermanent loss and aren't getting any fees because they're all going to the buy and burn, are getting all of their value extraction through that leverage trade coin. So although they may not be taking that value extraction as much now during the bull cycle, it's always a danger. But I mean, it's a danger with every token. So yeah, it's interesting. I mean, Richard said it best too, where he's like, this is going to be the world's greatest experiment. Like, none of this has been done before. And we've got so many Wall Street games over and already active before the bull markets even started. This is just insane. They all have huge up potential, but I mean, like, will one project spike a 10,000x and then we'll see market rotations like Wall Street, and it'll go from project to project and people will get wrecked trying to anticipate which project's going to get pumped next? Will we have altcoin season and a bunch of projects are all pumping at once and then come back to the chain like Ethereum? Like, how will this all play out is so interesting. Like, there's so many different ways it could work, but Ink Token, basically, it has its use cases. It is very speculative. It is going to become a lot more scarce. So, at least for its production rate. So, I mean, it could have overdumped for what it really is when all of a sudden it starts inflating even slower and there's less of it for those, market makers to dump. So we just have to wait and see how it all plays out. I mean, this all has high risk because it all has potential for high reward and high wrecking.
Yeah, the wreckage. Hopefully, I don't know. Anyone who sold the bottom or near the bottom, they're either going to be out or the way current prices are looking, and historically speaking, they're higher than they used to be, and a lot of people in this community believe they can go much higher. Devine asks, you think RH is going to bring out improvements in stages to keep interest alive? But I think we talked about that last time with PulseX. How why would it be awesome right now? Like why would it be the greatest DEX when retail's not in, when we're not near the top of the bull market, when interest isn't peaked the most? What do you think about 2024 at least? What do you think we may see from RH this year?
Well, I mean, he's been so quiet for a long time, but like, just to get the community off the back, Corey, I remember, was in conversation with Bretep, if I'm saying that right. Bretep, yeah. So, I mean, he doesn't speak much, but so it makes it easier to go to his Twitter and look at his tweets or replies. But you can find where he said, yeah, we're working. Like, this whole quiet period, it's not like they've just been sitting there with champagne going, we did it, look at these losers bottom sell. No, they've been coding, they've been building. So I mean, I have a funny feeling that as we get closer to the top of the bull, we could easily see two major improvements get launched, to one for PulseX, one for the chain, or both for PulseX, very easily. I mean, they've been so quiet, they have to have at least two aces in their sleeve. They could have more, but like, that is where, I mean, to keep interest in retail, like, yeah, if it was a completely finished product right now, that gets kind of boring. There's not as much to look forward to, and you've raised the bar, so now everybody's gonna come make something better. Right now, slow playing it and slowly releasing the functionality as people get aware of it and as they get a little more educated and better to use that functionality. Yeah, I think that slow play is optimal. At least that's my Cope narrative, and I'm sticking to it.
I like it. I'm gonna purely speculate that there's always a private, as long as devs are working on things, there's always a private test net, right? Like in the private test net for PulseX that the devs are running and testing, working on right now. I could imagine there's probably several features that we like or will like or have no idea about or have talked about a lot, that they've probably already tested them, they're working great, and they're literally just like waiting to roll them out when ready, or when timing is right, all that stuff. So that seems like a totally plausible scenario to me. And why wouldn't it be the case? Like, what else are they working on right now? It's Pulse is launched. The Genesis validators have exited. The people own the network, and everything else. I mean, PulseX is the only thing that could be improved. I mean, Hex is done. PulseChain's done. Like, why? What else is the devs working on other than maybe wallet, maybe whatever else? But PulseX seems to be the focus, and that would be, if I were to categorize what, if there were to be a glory run come together, and if the bull market comes and we get some amazing thing this year, next year, whenever, having amazing features to roll out for PulseX would be at the top of my list if I were the big man up there.
So here's a narration theory. So, I mean, Bitcoin and Ethereum have had inscriptions. I mean, we've got Pulse domains and NFTs, but I mean, inscriptions is still technically something different to actually add to the network. You could as simply as add inscriptions to PulseChain or even some of the aspects of layer 2s and see that as improvements catching up with Ethereum by the top of the bull market. Now, interestingly enough, let's say in series, what would be most optimal for improvements first? If, say, tomorrow you released limit orders, well, now you've encouraged your community to set up a series of sell walls ahead of the whole bull market. That sounds kind of crappy, actually. So releasing limit orders at, say, the top of the bull market, near the top of the speculation, would be more advantageous for not affecting that first cycle run-up. So as we see the top of the bull market, we might see limit orders actually put in there. Then as we start scaling back down, wouldn't it be interesting to actually see single-sided staking suddenly to appear to reduce sell pressure as we're actually in the bear market? And then maybe, and when we actually bottom out in the next bear cycle, and we've found our absolute bottom price and some stability in the actual holders, wouldn't it be interesting if we finally got our DAO functionality, because you've got the committed players that have actually proved they're going to stick through the cycle? So wouldn't that be an interesting way to release those products to optimize PulseX? I'm not saying he's going to do it that way, but if I were releasing them, that's at least what sounds good in my head.
Yeah, definitely. And just to shout out the Tetra team too for limit orders. Using the PulseX pools as well, because I know I think 9inch has them, but I believe they use the 9inch pools. But Omnis, the Tetra Dex aggregator, is using PulseX pools, and I think they're going to add Fux at some point as well, it sounds like. So yeah, I think not nearly as popular or going to attract as many people to use it as PulseX. However, individual players, not the whales putting up the sell walls and stuff, feel free to use this to get discounts and all that stuff. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it really is, because this is where one of the little secrets I found out getting in on Ethereum in the bull market. Like, one of my friends, the way he played it, because whenever you're going to buy Ethereum from a KYC, usually, or a SEX, your central exchange, because you can't buy Pulse at too many central exchanges, so you're usually buying ETH, so then you can route it across the bridge and get your Pulse. So anyways, back then, going to buy Hex with my ETH, and then, so I need ETH. Well, I'm going to the SEX. There's this thing called the spread that a lot of people don't talk about in crypto. And what's the spread? It's like you can go to bookies to actually check it out. It's what makes sure they're in profit. So if the price of Ethereum is $2,000 a token, the spread means you're going to pay $2,100 or $2,200 for that token from the SEX. And if you're going to sell it to them, they're only going to pay you $1,900 or $1,800 for it, even though the market price is $2,000. And that way they can afford to actually do the gas and move it around and make their money and their profit and grease their books. So, so getting taught with limit orders was an interesting little trick, because there's enough volatility in the market. And so this will be more applicable as the volatility picks up with Pulse. But it was interesting to see how you could set limit orders that were, say, like, okay, they asked, so it's 2,000 for ETH right now. The market wants you to pay 220. Well, I'm going to leave my money there, and I'm going to put a limit order in at market price at 2,000 or just below market price. and you wait, and there's so much volatility in different pools that sometimes a DEX aggregator might come and scoop up your liquid order because there's been a wick down. So like, I wanted to buy in, and it's like, okay, where do I put my money? Shut up and take my money. And my buddy's like, hey, you're brand new to this. Set a limit order and go to sleep. Calm down. You'll probably have it in the morning, because waiting that 12 hours increase the chances of volatilities. So like, knocking 5% or 10% off the price trying to get in using limit orders, if you're not in a hurry and you're okay with DCAing, is amazing to grab a discount. It is a huge thing.
I gotta stop myself sometimes because I'll see something. I'm like, oh, I'll have some extra yield or otherwise some dry powder, and be like, oh, I'm gonna pick some of this up, and then I'll be like, wait, go set a limit order. This is not. Do you believe it's up only? Okay, maybe not, but like, just in case, let's use limit orders and save a little bit of money at least. And so it's really, it depends on the coin, different volatility and stuff. We've talked about, Neil's been on the show talking about ratio trading and more advanced stuff you can do with that. But just the fact that if it is some kind of coin that is low liquidity or new or whatever, you can get like 10, 20, 30% discounts because this stuff wildly has these swings. And it's just, you'd be amazed, instead of doing a market buy, and especially if it's low liquidity, and you're pushing the price against yourself. If you set a limit order, you can just catch it when somebody else does the market sell and stuff like that. So it's a very underrated tool and very simple to use. And I think it'll catch on eventually. I feel like it hasn't caught on quite in the community yet, but it's like, I gotta, even me, like, I have to stop myself for a minute. Okay, you don't need to market buy everything. You can use LP, you can use limit orders, you can use other ways of getting a better deal.
Well, that's where, as a community, we're just learning to be able to talk about other projects. I mean, the maximalism was so hardcore. I used to feel like tiptoes and eggshells because I got here, made my name Hexadian because I'm like, yes, RH products are the best. But no, they're not the only thing. And so I wasn't right on the bandwagon with everyone. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to start my own channel. And I had Power City on. I had the Fiat crew on. I had the Internet Money crew on. I had the Liquid Loans crew on. Like, I just yeah, I saw all the value in these supporting protocols. And I'm like, yup, get on my channel. Let's talk about this. And then I go on somebody else's channel and I'm like, well, in this concept, there is a protocol like this, and then just leave it at that and trail off and never name the thing and play this game. But yeah, I mean, seeing all these different protocols launch on PulseChain to give us these options is what's amazing. Seeing the builders come together and seeing the community change in dynamic so that, okay, Hex, yes, Richard builds the best so far because he's very, very retentive about getting it done. That everything else, like, okay, you've got the gold standard with RH, but there's a lot of decent builders that I think are at least worthy of silver standard, which people are getting used to. And the more they do, the more they will give these projects names and talk about loan token or liquid loans, or talk about Tetra AP or Tetra, Omnis Tetra.win. And the more they talk about it, the more it'll become common knowledge. Like, I mean, once upon a time, like, only the elitist of the elite nerds knew what a MetaMask was. Now it's like, man, of course you used a MetaMask. Like, what else would you use? Like, so it's a matter of time. That's an idea of how early we are. Is like, this system's so complicated. When retail gets here, they're gonna spin. They're gonna get confused, like they're dizzy. Like, you brought a kid in a candy store, fed them 1 metric ton of sugar, and then put them on roller coasters all day. Welcome to PulseChain. Are you happy yet? Did you puke on enough other kids? Yeah, you did. Like, it's
yeah. I'm tired of being early, bro. Tired of being early. I need a 10,000x again. Need another 10,000x. I don't want to be early anymore. I don't want.
I'm still waiting. Well, no, actually, oh yeah. So I mean, we could talk about other projects. So, okay, I degened a little bit. Like, I talk about all this maximalism, but like, my fun story so far of recent in the chain, and like, people don't buy this, but since I'm going to bring it up, I'm going to explain the risks of it completely. So we got a nickel and dime scammer of PulseChain. And his first volley of scams was launch a token and buy 25 cents worth of that token at a time, over and over, and cause little green candles, make it go up and make people buy in, and then dump the token and pull the liquidity and run. And so he just basically kept doing that over and over. And he finally did it to a token after with the ticker Boo after Katie P Crypto in the space, and saw me and Katie both saw it like right at Christmas Eve. And so I went to go have a look at it. I'm like, oh no, this is so rug. And as soon as I go to pop into the chart, the red candle happened, like right down at the bottom. And I was like, no, not again. This is like Luna vibes all over again. I can't help it. What am I doing? What am I doing? I hit the buy button. And I went and I bought some of it right at that bottom. And I went, no way. I didn't just like get a whale position for that small. No way. Okay. So I'm just messing around in the chart. Like there's no way we're going to be able to unrug this thing for Christmas. And then another whale comes in behind me playing my game, but better because he's got a way bigger bags, and then buys everyone out and restores price for Christmas and unrugs it. And it's still been sitting there. I was like, as soon as he did that, I'm like, this is the riskiest thing ever, because as soon as he sees there's no volume, he's going to pull out and he's going to leave. Well, no, I mean, he paid me for my position and paid a lot of other people a lot of pulse. Like this guy, Katie might want to consider a restraining order, whoever this guy is, because he's got an obsession with this thing. He bought it all and he strapped thousands of dollars of liquidity across different dexes. And over a month later, this little rug that could is still sitting there with like almost no volume most days, and the whale occasionally pokes it and pushes price up and then waits for everyone to sell out for a week or two and then pokes and pushes price up. And I keep watching this thing and it's like, oh my God, there's so many little degen things. Like this token has absolutely no use, no value whatsoever, but I was absolutely bored and I got myself my first 1000x on the chain.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's why that came up. I'm like, I wasn't here for the last bull cycle, and I mean, I was sitting a little depressed. Like, even seeing my portfolio up a 3x or 4x, I'm like, those aren't crypto gains. That's what I should have gotten for 2 years of Wall Street. Like, I'm looking at that like, man. And those little things definitely help for excitement and just a little moment of being somewhere to do something stupid. But like, I was like, what does it matter? I mean, I put 10,000 pulse in. That was why I was like, I'll bet $1. Well, like, it was even 50 cents when I did it, I think, for 10,000 pulse. So like that's why. But yeah, all of a sudden I'm like, what do you mean I just got 10 million pulse out of that? Like, how did that just happen? Like, wait, I almost have enough pulse to like, what? No, like, what? I could start a validator. Like, these little epiphanies, like, it's so uplifting and it's so exciting, these opportunities, because like that's the worst play ever. Like, everyone else who got into that contract got ruined. It seems like that's where like the chain can be so risky, where it's nice to have these RH products to just buy and hold, or even these supporting protocols that pay you in RH products to hold them, to sit there like Wall Street with blue chip kind of idea of like, I've cut down the risk. Like, yeah, crypto's always risky. I'm going to get my 30% dips, but RH ain't going to pull liquidity and go to Tahiti. He could have done that before he ever launched a chain. So that's not going to happen. And, you start to feel like this is a lot safer. Whereas, these risky plays like, oh yeah, looking at a chart, looking at the way it can spike. But there is one guy with a weird obsession with Katie's tits that could just pull that liquidity and go home crying because there's not enough volume to warrant all the pulse he gave away to be the holder of the rug that was Katie's tits. And like, but he's so invested. I'm like, and it's been almost 2 months now. I'm like, he's not leaving. Like, he's waiting for people to actually start buying that up a 10x or like 100x. Yeah. Like, he's committed at this point.
The strangest things pumped. It's crazy. You're gonna be the first guy to finally turn a meme coin into I'm gonna buy this thing, and then when it goes up a lot, I'm gonna buy the blue chips. You're the first guy to do that finally.
Yeah, I did that. That's exactly what I did. Like, I mean, I didn't keep all 10. I didn't keep all that pulse. Like, I kept a bunch of the pulse, but then I went, Oh, Liquid Loans token pays me in Pulse. Oh, Time token pays me in Pulse. Oh, Minter token pays me in Pulse. Oh, and yeah, I upped a bunch of blue chips, and so I'm very happy about how I'm sitting in the ecosystem. It's brought my mood way back up. So although I still look at the chart with 2 years of trauma going, yeah, right, you're gonna dip down, you're gonna dip lower. We are in the upside risk. I know it, and that's why I never sell and I keep buying. Like right now, I'm finally getting rewarded for it. It's like, yeah, my hope's almost here. As soon as I see that 200ths of a cent, I'll be gleeful. I'll have hope. I'll be like, all right, now I'm going to start doing price calls again, folks.
Yeah, I mean that's the meme. I think everyone's like, oh, I'll just buy this thing, and then when it goes up, I'll buy the blue chips. And I hope that works out more than I think it actually works out.
Yeah, it never does.
That's a theory.
It never does. Yeah, it never does.
And just speaking of tokens that different products in the ecosystem that have the positive feedback loops that you get paid, you get yield and stuff, and that I'm definitely I'm an RHMax for his ideals, and I see a lot of his ideals playing out in the ecosystem as far as delayed gratification, locking up TVL. I mean, even the you can say the leverage is like, it's funny because he's talked about against, I think a lot of stuff he said too. I've talked about this before about leverage trading, about how, I mean, I'm pretty sure Richard is a really good trader. And I imagine, I'm going to speculate, he's made a lot of money using leverage, but also there's a side he wants people not to use it because most people can't use it appropriately and get themselves wrecked and all that stuff too. So it's fun. And then, he's basically asking, oh, please someone do leverage trading on for Hex, and on PulseChain. Of course, we got Fame and we got Fiat and all the different platforms for that. And then he tweeted about them. Yeah, he tweeted about Fame the other day, as you mentioned earlier. And it's really interesting to see these different ideas.
Yeah, that was the big conundrum, because we brought up this leverage, and I mean, to quote RH, talking about leverage trading, don't do it. The sites advertise and they warn you, 2/3, and even if they tell you that the 2/3, they don't usually tell you, but if they do, the 2/3 of people that lose money lose all their money leverage trading. The 1/3 that succeeds, you think they'd get moonshots, and it's like, no, they maybe made 50% gains for the other people that got wrecked 100%. The leverage trading platform is what makes most of the money from these things. So even if you are a good leverage trader, a lot of the times, you're going to have losing trades here and there, which are going to eat from your upside you got from the other. So even if you're on the winning side, it's still not as advantageous as it appears. And that is where you've got certain people like RH or myself that can read charts and read liquidity and know when something has hit maximum overstress sold, that this is price floor. I can buy here. There's no more downside risk. And that's very, very rare. So even though I talk about this, since I got to crypto, I've only done this twice. When Luna rugged and when Katie's tits rugged. At the bottom of two rugs is when I saw the juiciest, yeah, it's not going any lower. Right there. And honestly, on that way down, I had that thought, and I put in $10 or 10,000 tokens. It went a little lower. I did that 2 or 3 times before I got optimal bottom. But because I caught optimal bottom, wow, massive, huge gain. But I mean, those were special one-off situations, everything screaming, and I don't make a move on a chart unless it is telling me 110%, my chicken bones are clacking, my 8 balls rolling, and the ghosts are rising from Christmas past to tell me to do it. Then, okay, I make a move. So over 2 years of crypto, and I have only done 2 risky trades, and I didn't do leverage on them. RH definitely has some huge skill to be able to call the top, because as much as I catch the bottoms, I'm not so great at catching the tops. And yeah, got that Bitcoin top call. So I'm sure the ones of us that feel like we can sit there and actually calculate this trade has an 80% chance for upside. Well, that's worth maybe 1% of my portfolio for a triple leverage play. Yada, yada, because I've gone through, worked all the math, really understood what I was thinking about and did it. And yeah, there's not a lot of people that can do that. And a lot of people think they can, and they'll have that ego. And right now they're getting offended like, Top Gun, you don't know me. I'm going to prove you wrong and be the leverage master. And it's like, I'm doing my best to warn people, but whatever. I own some of the leverage trading platform because every time you think you build a better idiot-proof system, the world builds a better idiot. So people will come and leverage trade no matter how much I tell them not to. So I own a piece of a leverage trading platform. I refuse to leverage trade, but I'll be there when you get wrecked.
It sounds like a t-shirt or on a cereal box or something like that.
Yeah, I should get that as a t-shirt. I won't leverage trade, but I'll be there when you get wrecked. Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Wrapping up here, I just wanted to shout out the site that I made today. It's basically like a link tree that just has a bunch of resources. But I asked on Twitter as well if I'm missing any stat sites or otherwise. But I've tried to make this pretty comprehensive with just data and just places to find information, resources, and otherwise an ecosystem. And we have so much amazing content, so much amazing site, like GoPulse. Of course, everyone uses that, but just AppHex and the mining calculator and stuff I've talked about and used and stuff on the show before. The Hex white paper, the closest thing to it, you could say. Put that on there as well. PulseChain War Chest if you are interested. But bento.me/pulsehexinfo. I'll be rearranging and adding probably a few more to that as well once I get some more information. But yeah, this is I want to aggregate all the different stuff that I like to use, I've used in the past, and I just instead of putting in a text file or whatever and searching around for it during streams, now I can just come here.
I love this. Like I've been thinking about a utility like this. Bento Me. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna remember this, man. You just made the top of my Christmas card list.
Sweet, good, glad to do so. Yeah. I put it together today, and I was like, I think this is gonna work out pretty well. So, actually, Gold Key made. He made, let's see, bento.me/PulseChain. So it's just it's a site you can basically make your own link site from it. And this is one I've used before, and I really like too. PulseChain Hub, where he has different categories and kind of a different purpose. This is more of like explainers and Richard Hart stuff and all that too. But I wanted to have just basically stats and data and resources for how to find information, because I'm going to update. On Go Real DeFi, I'm going to I added validators here already. I'm going to add another link to stats. So it'll go here to the stats page, and everyone could just click on their favorite stat site and go understand why numbers look good or not so good. Make your own decision. That's what we got stats for. Top Gun. Where can people find you, man? Where can people find you? Where can people? Let me see. I'm going to pull up your Twitter.
So, after we talked, because like usually when you have me on, then it makes me feel guilty because I'm like, I have followers on my own channel. I should actually make a video on my channel. So I made a math video on YouTube after we talked last time, and I will probably go on YouTube within the next week and make another video after this. But Twitter is where crypto's heartbeat really seems to be. To keep your finger on the pulse, man, to really see things as they're coming. You got to be following a wide range of people and keeping an eye on that timeline. So I get most involved on Twitter. But yes, you can see we got the cool squirrel. That's my most recent math video I did after we talked the last time. Nice. So, YouTube. And I was doing a Hexy Bastard impersonation.
I was about to say, there better not be a squirrel hat.
No. A Hexy Bastard impersonation.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. So YouTube, Twitter, is that the two places you hang out?
That's where I mostly am. I can be found on Telegram a little bit. I will admin in the occasional chat. But I'm most active on Twitter. Then YouTube is another place where commenting on my videos can prompt me to get out there and make a video. That's usually where I'm around. Twitter is the best place.
Gotcha. Paul asked what token support works. 9 a.m. and the scan not working. The scan's working for me here at least. I haven't noticed anything. I'm trying to think when I used it for a transaction. But that seems to be working. You also use otter.pulsechain.com.
Well, you're just using these to look at a single transaction. Like, have you tried doing wallet chain analysis?
Let's see. There is actually a site I added today for that. Did you have a site that I know there's one for Hex? Let's
Well,
see.
that's where I've been curious because, like, yeah, scan.PulseChain works, and yeah, Otter works, but like I think what's the current one that they have been pushing out on Deck Screener? Just a moment here.
Yeah, let me know if you have a link. I definitely would like to add some more resources here.
Oh, I think it's the IFPS link for Pulse Chain Scan. But basically, like trying to do wallet chain analysis, I keep running into little brick walls, like things don't make sense, and that's where I think like it's just I don't know how to phrase it exactly. Like I'm not an expert at all when it comes to blockchain explorers, so basically like I hop on Etherscan and I can at least bridge from thing to thing, and I might not understand it, but I don't feel like I hit any brick walls. But occasionally, like I'm trying to scan from transaction to transaction, and then suddenly I hit a wallet where it's like, well, the tokens you're looking for that this other thing said are in here aren't in here, and like it's not updated yet with the transaction history, or like basically little glitches where just not all the information's propagated, and it gets very frustrating. And as somebody who's learning to do blockchain analysis, like it's not very enticing or motivating to continue Zed learning.
Yeah, I know it can be. Not everything in the ecosystem is definitely polished yet. I know the launch pad for Pulse Chain is still. I'd love to have a great validator site. We don't have one that's amazing yet. The best thing we got is the Go Pulse validator page to kind of look at stats. But even then, the APRs, don't seem to be super accurate and all that stuff too. So again, we don't need it right now. It'd be nice to have, but we don't need it.
Yeah, what is it? Beacon.pulsechain.com?
Yeah, even it was down yesterday. I checked it was down. I was like, man, I would like to. That's what I use to check my validator. I don't even dial into my validator half the time. I just check the site, check the hash and stuff, and see, oh, okay, it's running fine. So I don't even need to remotely dial in or anything. So, but it was down. So I was like, oh, it'd be nice. I really hope somebody builds a great validator. I thought somebody was building some validator site. I saw them on one of my validator AMAs. I think they were building some validator site. I hope that comes to fruition because that'd be amazing.
Hopefully. I definitely know like the Go Pulse people, basically they're building like even faster than Richard. It feels like sometimes like they're anonymous, right? Nobody knows who they are. Sometimes I wonder if that's just Richard trolling us. But like him and Bro said, that's what they've been building, guys. No, like I have no idea, but like they're building so fast that it's like I feel bad asking them for extra features because like I've built enough software to know like software is not easy, and holy crap, slapping another feature. Here's bubbles, here's this, here's that. Like I try and hop on their website in Google Chrome and suddenly it won't let me scroll up and down, and I'm like, I don't even want to complain about it. I don't like, I'll just hop on mobile. Like this thing is awesome. Like yes, there are problems everywhere because this is the Wild West, and it's like half these programs are held together with actual hope, bird shit, and duct tape. All right, guys. Like
what a combination.
They have been so fast.
Yeah. I mean, and building a product or a website for 1,000 people is different than building it for 1 million too. It's like you can launch something, but if there's a chance, what if it goes down? Like what are the consequences of just a link site going down versus a network or a trading platform or something? They're very different. So, I care less if any new PulseX features come out anytime soon. I really don't care. I just want to see your ecosystem grow. I want to see the active wallets go up, the transactions go up. If the price follows, that's great too. But yeah, man, I think we're in a good spot as far as ecosystem goes. And when I see Godwell on Twitter, I'm like, whew. It feels the loins, when the loins speak, they're speaking a language that sounds something like we're back. But yeah, TBD, we'll see. No idea.
Now, as far as the validator page, though, the first thought to my head is David Feeder and Gold Key are the other community members along with yourself that are pretty big in the validator circle, right? So, I mean, if we harass those two guys, like Gold Key knows enough with coding, I'm pretty sure we could set together a front end and maybe build a custom validator site with the features that you want to see instead of harassing the guys that are already bending over backwards building for us. Like, that's that joy of decentralized community, right? Like, we don't necessarily all talk with each other because of whatever reason. Like, we've got our own little verse, our own little area of followers. But I mean, seeing this whole community, sometimes the joy is like, hey, don't you know there's this other person? Yeah, I talked to them too. Why don't you guys, let's get you guys together in the same room. I think you guys need to be in the same room. And I love doing that sometimes on PulseChain because it's funny what's gotten built. Maybe we need to get David Feeder and Goldkey and you all in the same room to talk about potential ideas for a proper validator page.
Well, I think there's a lot of pieces to it too, and I'm not sure if some things need to be more exposed as far as information stuff on the network side for us to get different stats, because I think some of them are just where we forked Ethereum. I think some things are just a little off, like the math doesn't quite add up for APR or whatever. Just speculate. I can't remember the exact reason why we don't have super good stats for different stuff. But anyways, ethernodes.org. I was actually talking to Goldkey about this, I would like to fork it, or I'd like somebody to fork this, but I cannot find the source code for it. I don't think it's open source. But so if anyone knows, the devs or otherwise from ethernodes.org, I would love to see if we could fork that for PulseChain, because that'll give us a lot of different client diversity stats, just a lot of different validator stats that Ethereum has, but we don't have yet. So that's definitely one piece of a bigger site if we ever come, build a bigger site. Stats that they're doing are super interesting.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like there was actually somebody did build a stat page recently. I haven't had a chance to look into, and I have a feeling it was your friend Sami that found it. And I'm feeling like it has it was actually collating validators or nodes on the network, because I feel like it was a spherical breakdown with a radial. Like the nodes were radial points above the sphere as a 3D kind of image.
That was the OA wallet, wasn't it? That was the sphere.
Oh yeah, that was something. What is that was able to go and snoop the OA wallet? Like, how can we use that for? Is that something we can use?
I'm not sure where it came from, but I think it was a chain analysis thing where it was showing that the OA had been sold.
That was amazing chain analysis, and it's like, if we could put that to a front end, like that would blow away as a blocks explorer. I feel like I haven't had the time to go look at it yet, so I'm gonna have to track down your Sami's posts and see that OA tool, see what software is used for that.
Send it my way when you find it too. Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Top Gun, always a great time, man. Appreciate you coming on. What do you want to take us out on? Any last words before we send this moonshot off?
All right. So we'll have some final words here. All right. I'm gonna screen share for my final words here.
All right.
So let's see here. Just a moment, guys. I'm just looking for the tab. You know what? I'm just going to do entire screen. This is going to be really messy.
Okay.
All right. Now we get that roll in. So here is Ethereum. Here's it on the weekly. All right. Lots of lovely little lines. Lots of lovely little lines. So, I mean, it's not on log. Let me fix that. There we go. So basically, this network, which had nothing on it, launched, and it dipped down hardcore, and then it did its recovery, but not all the way to its all-time high from the high volatility. And then it went sideways for a while longer, and then it just ripped everyone's face off, and then it went sideways. And then it ripped everyone's face off, yay, Bitcoin happening, and then it went sideways. And then even in all of this, like, wow, it goes up and then it goes sideways and then it goes down and then it goes up and then it goes sideways and it goes down. This is how crypto works. So when we look over at our PulseChain chart and we turn it over into the weeklies and we zoom all down there, we can see, well, gee, where are we on the crypto cycle? We're right about here. Okay, folks, you see where that mouse is. We're right about here. It's not a guarantee. There is no guarantees in the world. But, you know, if crypto does what crypto does, yeehaw! It's going to go up, all right? It's going to go up. What do you think it's going to do? It's going to go up. There, that's my final words.
Sir, this is Wendy's, and you can make your order anytime. We do have a special on the Baconator, 3 for $5. This is 1982. That's an awesome, great. But let's Hexen. I thought he was talking about your voice for a minute, but turn the bass on the outro. Let's both some speakers. You got it, sir. You got it, Hex Lost Indonesia. Top Gun. Always good to see you, man. Appreciate the outro. And until next time, everyone, Scivive and 5555. Here's your outro. Boom.